Hi and hello everybody. We have officially reached my 2024 favorites video, which is insane. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the plants that I have been the most impressed by and enjoyed growing the most over the past year. It was so hard to choose, especially because I have just so many plants and so many plants that I absolutely love, but there were a select few that really just stood out to me. So I can't wait to share those with you. I have been really taking some time lately to reflect on this year and think about what I want next year to look like and what I want my content to look like and like just my life, both planty and personal. It seems like the overarching theme in all of these different areas of my life is just to slow down. So not only am I going to be trying to prioritize relaxation and restoration more, but I also want to continue to work on and to put energy into styling and personalizing my space. Now, the sponsor of today's video is very on theme with both of those things, and it is Brooklinen, so thank you so much to Brooklinen for sponsoring. If you've been watching me for a while, then you would know I'm such a big fan of Brooklinen. I basically use exclusively Brooklinen bedding because I just love it so much. Not only is it super high quality, like it genuinely feels like a high-end hotel bedding. It is so crisp and cool, which I really appreciate as somebody who definitely sleeps warm, but it also gets softer with every single wash. So I've had some of their bedding sets for years now and they feel just amazing, which is something I really appreciate because I feel like not many things are like that in life anymore. It just feels so crisp and cooling. If you have Brooklinen bedding, then you know what I'm talking about. It is just so luxurious feeling to cozy up in. Brooklinen also has so many different colors and patterns to choose from, which I love because I'm always switching out my bedding depending on the season or just whatever I'm feeling. I love to switch it up, and as you can see, I love colors. I feel like it brightens the space so much, but if you are someone who's into whites and neutrals, then they've got you covered on that front as well. I always do the hardcore bundle because it comes with a duvet cover, a fitted sheet, a flat sheet, and an extra set of pillowcases, so you get the whole thing at a discount. And it's just so fun to build and mix and match everything and come up with just a cute little bedding bundle. I also love layering with a throw or another blanket. Not only does it add visual interest, but it also allows me to just grab the throw, cozy up, read a chapter or two of my book, and then put it back, and I haven't messed up the whole rest of my bed. However, to be honest with you, it's usually Olive that has claimed the throw for herself. Many of you know that I take my bed and my sleep very seriously, and I cannot recommend Brooklinen enough. I feel like upgrading your bedding is the perfect way to go into the new year as well. Like, it feels correct. Those are the vibes. At least those are the vibes I'm channeling for next year. Luckily, Brooklinen has an offer for my viewers. You can get 15% off of your order if you use the link down below in the description box. Thank you so much to Brooklinen for sponsoring this video and for keeping my space nice and cozy. Okay, so it is incredibly dark and gloomy today, which is of course my luck, but there's truly no sun in the forecast, and we need to get through these favorites. So I was thinking about where I want to film this, and I think I might just move around to each space, like show you where the plant lives. I thought that might be a little bit more visually interesting as well, so perhaps we will do it that way. So I will meet y'all at the first plant. Okay, so we're gonna go in no particular order. I am officially calling this my favorite Hoya that's come into my collection over the past year. I'm obsessed. This is Hoya van Ven. Oh my gosh, Van Viengensis? I will put the names on the screen so y'all will be able to see. That name is still a little bit of a mystery to me, but the Hoya is absolutely phenomenal. This has just completely blown my expectations out of the water. I knew I was gonna like it, or at least I loved it in other people's photos on Instagram, but after seeing it in person and just witnessing how quickly it settled in and started growing, this thing, it literally didn't miss a beat. Basically, from the moment it arrived on my doorstep, it was pushing out new leaves, new growth. This is like a full freaking plant. I've only had this for a couple months. Granted, it came to me as basically a full plant, but it's still put on like a ton of leaves in the short time that I've had it in my collection. This is probably the freshest leaf that I have an example of to show you. You can see it's very shiny. It's a little bit darker than the others. It has this kind of, I guess, veining or ribbing, or I don't know what you'd call it, but the texture is really cool. It also is fuzzy. Like, it has a soft fuzzy layer on it, which I love my fuzzy plants. So this is just a dream. The way that the leaves drape down, everything about it is just so stunning. I'm obsessed. I'm truly obsessed. Definitely has shot up to becoming one of my top favorite Hoyas of all time. And to be honest with you, I can't even think of what the blooms look like on this, like off the top of my head. And normally, or at least as of the past year, I'm very like Hoya bloom focused. But this one, I don't even really think about the blooms because I'm just so in love with the foliage. Like, I don't even really care. I mean, that would be amazing if it would bloom for me one day, but I am here for these stunning leaves and just how beautiful this plant is. It has brought me so much joy, and it's just been incredibly easygoing so far. Like, yeah, I can't even tell you. This thing has just been going and growing, and yeah, it's been crazy. So, oh yeah, I'm just so impressed by it. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, prepare for me to just be nonsensically gushing about all of the plants in this video, but yeah, it really is quite spectacular. I will be repotting this sometime in the new year, of course, get it into at least a little bit bigger of a container so that I can keep up with watering and everything. I can see it has healthy roots in there. Yeah, it's just doing really well. I'm standing in front of the vegetable shelf here because this is where it lives. I have the lights turned off right now just for filming purposes, but this plant literally just sits right here. Can you even see? I'll bring you in closer. Yeah, it just sits nicely right in here. It's obviously overgrowing its trellis and everything, which is another reason I need to get it potted up. But yeah, it's in a very basic kind of setup. It gets light from a grow light. There's just a Barina light under here. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. Also, if you have any questions about any of these plants or the setups or anything, or any comments, just write me down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Okay, so the next plant that I have on my list is my Alocasia frydek, which is right here. I'm not going to be handling this plant right now, or I'm going to try to minimize handling this plant right now because I just realized this morning that it has mealybugs on it, which is a surprise to no one because for some reason this shelf, the mealies just, I don't know. I think that they must be in like the cracks of the shelf itself because they just, I don't know, man. They come out of the woodwork like quite literally. So I need to spray this down this evening, but I couldn't not include it in this video because of that. I mean, you can see it's looking not its best, and that's, oh my gosh, yeah, yikes, it really needs to be cleaned off. I'll probably insert b-roll or photos of this plant when it was more in its prime. So yeah, excuse her. She will be back to her regular stunning self soon. But it's just such a phenomenal plant. I love the variegation on the one that I have. It's just, oh, so beautiful. I actually don't have just my regular green Michelition anymore because I just feel so, like, I don't think I need both of them in my collection. I love the variegated one so much, and I feel like it kind of gives me everything that I'm looking for in an Alocasia and in this type of Alocasia. And also these get really big, so I just didn't have room for the two of them. I do really love just the regular green one, so if I had room, I probably would have kept it, but just, you know, they take up a lot of space. So I just have this one now, but I'm super happy with it. It's living in a self-watering pot in DIY pond, and it loves it. I can see a new leaf coming out right now, despite this mealy issue. They're mostly on the backs of the leaves, which is why I guess I haven't noticed them until today. That's so annoying. But anyways, these are one of the more common, like, variegated Alocasia now. So they're, you know, not nearly as expensive as they used to be. They're becoming more accessible. So if you have the opportunity to grab one, I'm pretty sure these have even been popping up at like big box store kind of places or like big nurseries and stuff. So definitely keep your eye out if you've been looking for one. They also grow super quickly in my experience. I got this as just a small plant and it just like poof, expanded so quickly. So yeah, even like seedling size I think is okay for these. I'm probably gonna give her a trim to get rid of some of these droopy leaves when I clean her up, but hopefully she will be on the road to recovery and be ready for her glow up for 2025 to get her back to her prime, because she just looks so good when she's happy. I feel like this is one that always catches people's eye too when they come in here, and I love having it just kind of front and center on the shelf under my Rousseau light. Yeah, I'm just obsessed with it. I love this alocasia so much and I'm so glad that I have it in my collection. Okay, we're kind of working our way around the room, but the next two that I want to talk about, I have been absolutely obsessed with these two plants throughout the year. If you've been watching my channel, you've probably seen them so many times by now, but it is my Monstera Esqueleto and also my Philodendron Glorious. These are my two largest climbing plants, and they are my literal babies. Let me bring you in a little bit closer. I've recently installed a grow light above these plants, which is off right now for filming purposes, and they've been loving it. It's great, but the only thing that does suck, which I was prepared for, but it's just kind of a sacrifice that I had to make for the sake of the plant's health, is that some of the leaves are pointing, they're like horizontal, trying to face upwards now instead of, you know, facing out like that. I wish that they were like this, but they're I mean, the bottom ones are, but the top ones definitely are not. They're trying to maximize from the light above. This is a fresh one, as you can see, coming in. It's still hardening off and everything, but oh my goodness, it is just so, so pretty. We have another one over here. Oh, I think this is, wait, which one is the biggest one? Oh, I think it's this one. Let me show you this one. Look at that bad boy right there. Oh my goodness. My obsession with this plant started a few years ago because I love Monstera adansonii so much, which basically looks like this but smaller. So when I found out that there was a Monstera that had the adansonii leaf kind of look, but it grew massive, I was like, yes, please sign me up. And Charmaine from Unplant Parenthood actually sent me a cutting from hers, and it's obviously grown over the past couple of years, and now it's this big climbing plant, and it truly just makes me so, so happy. I love having these plants in here. I think it's so cool to be growing such just large, okay, I'm on like mealy alert now, but there's not mealies, thank goodness. I did just wash this plant the other day too, but I think it's so cool to be able to be growing these big, just like super jungly kind of plants here in my little house in Canada. Like, oh my gosh. Don't fall over, please. Like, that is just so cool and I'm obsessed. So this is growing on a Rousseau moss pole, closed back moss pole. I keep a clear cup in the top here that I just fill up a couple of times, like every 2 to 3 days, and that waters it through. And yeah, I recently installed the grow light above as well. This is due for an extension right away here, so I'll be doing that soon. Don't want to mess up this new leaf. There we go, beautiful. And then beside that we have my Philodendron gloriosum, which you can see here. This is a hybrid between Melanochrysum. Wait, did I say gloriosum? This is Philodendron glorious. It's a hybrid between Melanochrysum and gloriosum. And this has just had such a growth spurt this year. It's crazy. This is my tallest plant. It's not my biggest leaf plant. That would be one of my anthurium, but it's pretty darn close. Like, it's definitely one of my largest plants. And I just think that this it's such a statement piece. It's so huge. It does have a little bit of a bald spot here, so ignore that. But in general, it's such a statement plant, has these large leaves, and they're velvety, which I'm obsessed with. Like, it's just so beautiful. The sheen that you get on this, it's insane. My camera will hardly go high enough, but like, look how beautiful she is. I can't. It's so stunning. Gosh, I love this plant so much. There is a new leaf coming in way up here as well. This is still soft and expanding, but it's gonna be stunning. Yeah, it's gorgeous. and it's literally at the tippy top of the pole as well, so I'm probably gonna have to chop this one soon, which stresses me a little bit. I don't want to have to do it, but I think it's just gonna need to be done. I would say that this is a fairly easy care philodendron. It doesn't even necessarily need a moss pole. Like, you could grow this on a stake and I think that it would still size up for you and do really well. I like to grow mine. It's on a moss pole. It's also in the same setup as the other one, the Rousseau pole with the clear cup on the top. And I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this 5 poles? 1, 2, 3. I think this is 5 of the Rousseau poles stacked together, so that's a lot. And oh no, it's also fastened to one of the wooden Rousseau pole supports, which is why it's not toppling over. Those are so handy for my like really tall vertical plants like this, to kind of keep them in place, and also to hang them on the wall. Like, I have those 2 moss poles on the wall there. One note that I will make about the Philodendron glorious, if you have one or if you're thinking of getting one, they need frequent showers. And I know it's not mine because I've heard other people say the same thing, but they get EFN, extrafloral nectaries, so badly on the back of the leaves, and it can burn through and show like little dots on the front of the leaf. So I take this to the shower every few weeks probably, and clean the fronts and backs of the leaves, even just with water, like spraying it with the shower head, it will come off. But yeah, that's kind of like an extra little care thing that this plant needs. But honestly, it's beneficial for me to be doing that anyways, because it's preventing pests and just keeping the leaves free of dust and everything. But yeah, these are my climbers and I just love them so much. So of course, both of them had to make it to my top of the year. Okay, this next one will come as no surprise to my regular viewers, and I apologize for talking about it so much, but it is my Begonia polensis. This is one of my just top favorite plants of all time in general. This will be one of my top favorites of every year, I'm sure, just because it's one of the most unique plants that I've ever grown, and it has been such a joy to grow. It's been so easygoing. Yeah, it's just so cool, so unique. I don't see it a lot, and I love that it's a begonia because I am a begonia girl. But look at that. Like, it looks like a spider web. It is just so neat. And it's grown so much this year. It is absolutely massive now, and I actually just did a pretty aggressive prune on it, but it's still just so big and constantly growing. Look at all the, let me show you from the back. Look at how many new leaves are coming in, all these little babies here. And while you're looking at the back, you can see how fuzzy it is. It is just such an incredibly interesting plant. I have mine potted in a ceramic pot. It does have a drainage hole, which is why I have the tray that I usually keep a little bit of water in, just because I don't want this plant to get dehydrated. I actually think I need to top up the soil. Do you see how it's kind of like sunk down a bit? So I should do that. But yeah, I just love this plant so much, and I have it growing in ambient. I have it growing in ambient humidity. It just hangs out here in the dining room, and it just gets natural light from this window. So even though this is such a dark time of year, the days are quite literally the shortest of the year right now, this doesn't seem to mind. Like, it's still growing, it's still looking amazing. And yeah, I just think that that's incredible. I have a baby one of this as well. Let me grab it just because it's so cute to see a small one. This one right here, look at this little baby leaf. It's so precious. I actually need to water this, but yeah, honestly, I think that this plant is really easygoing. I've heard other people say that they don't think it is, and they haven't had good luck just growing it in regular room conditions. But my experience has been really positive as long as I keep it watered. If I miss out on too many, like if I miss out on a couple waterings in a row, then it will crisp, and that's why I ended up doing that aggressive prune. But in general, I think it's super easygoing, especially for a plant that just looks this insane and this exotic. I would have thought that this is something that would only survive in a terrarium or something, but no, it's just hanging out here, which is so crazy. Something else that I really fell more in love with over the past year is Pinguicula. Y'all have seen my, what's it called? My pingdom many times. I actually did a video on that this year, which was lots of fun to make, and I want to do more like planty projects like that going into the new year. So hopefully I'll have some more creative plant displays coming. but I just love Pinguicula so much. I thought I would just grab a couple that are living on my windowsill to show you. I don't even really know the IDs on a lot of my pings. Like, they all just have gotten mixed together over time. This one is really cute though because it's like a mini pingdom. Like, I have a small piece of pumice here and just a little baby ping growing on there, which is so cute. And then I have a few potted in there. This is just a reused takeout container, and then I just have this one in a thrifted glass, and it's doing really well in there. Now I wanted to talk about these because I recently got a comment of somebody saying that they haven't brought pings into their collection because they're worried that they don't have high enough temperatures in their home, and I'm here to say these live on my windowsill all year, even through the winter, and they're fine. They're even still growing right now. So I wouldn't let temperature hold you back. They do like a decent amount of light, so I wouldn't put them in like a north-facing window, especially in the winter, but these live on my south window and they're fine. My pingdom gets light from a Barina light. It's under grow lights, and that one is growing like crazy. I'm still getting blooms and everything. So I think maybe light is more important than temperature, at least in my experience with these. But yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to be held back from trying these out because I think that these are some of the coolest and most rewarding plants that you can grow. And I really want to explore Pinguicula more next year, and also just carnivorous plants in general. I would love to try another Drosera because I ordered, was it this year? Yeah, I think this summer I ordered a Drosera, and was it this year or was it last year? Gosh, time gets all just muddled in my brain, but I ordered one to try it out, and then it just like promptly croaked because it dried out too much. So I need to try that again. But yeah, love pings so much, especially because they give you cute little flowers. They come in all different colors, both the flowers and the foliage. A ping that I really want is the Pinguicula Joanna, I believe, which is a really pink one. I want it so bad. It's in my Etsy basket right now, but I have not clicked checkout. But maybe next year. I would love to get that one, and the raspberry blonde. I really love that one. The bloom on that is so pretty. So yeah, and these are just, I've never had a ping croak. Like, I've literally never lost one. I feel like they're so hardy, and I just need y'all to know that because you need to try them out. They're so fun. And they're super easy to share and to propagate. So they actually divide themselves. This is a really cool example of a ping that is dividing itself. Do you see that? So we have like two on either side. It's splitting. And then we also have little babies that I had just put a leaf pulling, because if you pull a leaf and then just stick that on top of the soil, it will root in. So I have a bunch of babies from just like random, I think, leaves that had come off when I was repotting this or something. So there's like a million pings in here. I'm probably gonna have to end up separating this in the spring, but they're just so cool like that. You can share them so easily. They're just so much fun. So yeah, y'all know how I feel about pings. I love them so much. This one is actually next, and it's a big one. Many of y'all, oh my gosh, am I even gonna be able to talk to you from under here? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, this is my Anthurium Luxurians Hybrid, and this is, let me give you the actual ID. I don't know why I'm just saying it like that, because that's how I had it written in my notebook. This is a Luxurians, no. This is a crystallinum crossed with magnificum. That's like one hybrid, crystal mag, and then crossed with Luxurians. And I think that that's important because just my magnificum Luxurians looked, I didn't like it as much as this one. So I feel like the crystal being in there is important. Not to say that that hybrid can't be beautiful. I'm just, you know, I'm partial to this one. Anyways, you can really see, well, obviously you can see that the leaves are massive. They're like the size of my torso. But you can also see that they get just a beautiful oil slick kind of purpley blue sheen to them, and it is so stunning. That's my favorite thing about this plant, along with the texture, of course. I love the kind of Luxuriance texture that this gets. I would, if I was a woman who was getting new plants in 2025, I would be keen to try some different Luxuriance hybrids, but like, how would I have space for more of this type of plant? Like, look at it. I hardly have space just for one. This is the biggest leaf in my collection, this plant. It's huge. My mom always comments on it when she comes over. So yeah, it's just so cool. And y'all have seen it many times because I have shown it many times. It did have an inflow that I just let run its course. I never know, like I hear, okay, let me put it down. There is another leaf on the back also. Boop, right there. That one has a bit of a chunk missing from it, but it's still stunning. Maybe this one should be the thumbnail, but how am I gonna get a nice, goodness. I was just gonna say, I never know whether I should cut off the inflows or not. I don't typically pollinate my anthurium, but I've heard the argument that you should leave them on because it's gonna try to go through its whole bloom cycle anyways. So now I've let this naturally die off. So hopefully, I don't know. So I guess that's just supposed to be the natural cycle that it wants to go through. That's one thing that I hear, but then I also hear people say you can just cut them off and it doesn't matter. So I don't know. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you chop your anthurium inflows or if you leave them. Same with alocasia. I never know what to do. I hear some people say that if you chop them, it's just going to encourage it to produce more inflows because it wants to complete that cycle. But then I hear other people that just chop them off and say that that's the right thing to do. So who's to know? Probably the botanists, but that's not me. Okay, also special mention to my, this is not on my official list, although it is just one of my all-time favorite houseplants. I have to just give a quick little side mention to my variegated Thanksgiving cactus because this was the first year that it like fully bloomed for me, had multiple stunning pink blooms on it, and it really was quite spectacular, and it just made me so happy. So yeah, special mention for that one. I will mention, I think closer to the end of the list, some plants that have bloomed this year where I've really loved the blooms, but yeah, this is definitely one of them. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked again because I have another one that wasn't on my official list, but I couldn't just walk by it and not talk about it because I have been super impressed by my Hoya houseplants inner variegated this year. I've had this thing for several years now, and I had always grown it inside my IKEA greenhouse because, I don't know, I was just so scared to take it out. I thought it was just gonna croak. I thought it was gonna be really finicky, but it has been doing better than ever just sitting on my windowsill, which is so crazy to me. And even crazier, it has bloomed. In fact, continuously, basically. I've had so many blooms on this, and that only happened once I put it on the window. I feel like these south-facing windows are magic for Hoya blooms. Like, that is definitely the key to getting my Hoyas to bloom, especially in the spring and summer when they're getting blasted with light. But I was just so surprised that it happened there. You can see there's some right there. Oh, are they not open yet? Oh no, they're not open yet, but they're just small little blooms. The blooms actually aren't very spectacular on this Hoya. People definitely grow it for the foliage, but I still appreciate them. I think it's still like a cute little pop of pink. But yeah, it's had so many clusters of blooms this year. It's crazy. And yeah, it looks amazing. It is still in, you can tell that this hasn't been repotted for a long time because it's in terracotta, and I haven't been planting in terracotta for a couple of years now at least. So this was probably potted into here in either 2021 or 2022, I'm gonna say. 2022 at the latest. Like, it's been in here for a while and it's living its best life. Like, she's huge. It's so crazy. I think that this is one of the prettiest Hoya that I own, especially in terms of variegated Hoya. So yeah, just since she has surprised me and been doing so well, I had to pop her into this video too. There's so many plants I could talk about. I tried to only choose 10. I think I chose like maybe 12, but yeah, we're going off the rails here. Not a favorite for this year, but just always a favorite in general is my jewel orchid. And look how many blooms she has right now. It is crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blooms. That's the most she's ever had. That's so cool. Another one coming in here. Love it so much. Anyways, that's not what we're here to look at. Although, I just want to like show every single plant. But my Hoya polyneura, again, not officially on my list, but this plant is looking the best it's ever looked this year. Like, look how full this is. This is the type of polyneura I would have looked at like years ago and really envied in other people's collections, and now I have mine like this. Like, it's so crazy. And I grew this back from like a 2-leaf cutting after this plant got attacked by thrips a few years ago now. So yeah, I know it's backlit, sorry, but trust, she is stunning and so lush. Oh my goodness. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, the plant that is officially on my list is the Philodendron patriciae, which y'all have seen somewhat recently because I showed this. When was I talking about this? I can't even remember what video. Was it just a plant tours video or what was it? Oh, my wish list video. Duh, the last video that I posted. Get the lighting just a little bit better. Okay, so here she is. I am just fully in love with this philodendron. It is one of my all-time favorites now. Like, I haven't even had it for a full year and I can already just tell you I'm gonna be obsessed. I'm extremely impressed with how well it's done so far. I got this in a trade in the summertime, so I've only had it for about 6 months, but it's been doing incredible. This is a new leaf that hasn't hardened off yet and it's gonna be huge. I mean, not nearly as big as this plant can grow, but in terms of what the other leaves look like on her, it's gonna be massive. And I can't wait until it hardens off because they harden to this nice deep green. And yeah, I just love it so much. Again, I have it growing on a Rousseau pole, and I actually have this one in a clear self-watering pot in DIY pond. And yeah, it lives by my window, gets natural light, not even super highlight. Like, yeah, I don't know, doesn't seem to mind too much. It's been super easygoing and super happy. So yeah, I'm just so excited to have a pendant philodendron in my collection. Like, that is so cool. This is definitely one of my best plant acquisitions of 2024. Okay, I apologize. This is another plant that I already showed just in my last video, but what's a girl to do? Of course, some of my wishlist plants that I got this year that I covered in that video are also going to be my top favorites of the year. So this is my Alocasia watsoniana, and I suppose I won't dwell on it for a super long time, but this sprouted from a corm this year, and as soon as this leaf emerged, it immediately became my favorite Alocasia. Like, I cannot tell you how in love with this thing I am. It is so pretty. I love this dark foliage with the bright silvery veins. They're also like raised, has a lot of dimension to it, and this is like a velvety looking leaf. One of y'all commented on that video that your Alocasia watsoniana isn't velvety, but there's different types, so I believe it's the doff. Maybe several of them can be velvety, but if you're specifically looking for a velvety one, I would look for the doff variety. I think that's going to give you the really dark velvety leaf. Also, the back, dark purple, stunning. Like, she is just beautiful from all angles, and yeah, I'm completely blown away by this plant. I feel like I haven't been this in love with an Alocasia in a while. I cannot wait for the next leaves. Just as this gets bigger, I know I'm gonna fall even more in love with it. So yeah, it's so cool. I love it. It lives in my Millsbow wide cabinet, so it gets, what's the humidity right now? The humidity is only at 69% right now, so it's usually around like 70 to 75%. I did just open the door, so it's probably a little bit lower. But it's not like super humid. It's just a bit more humid than room humidity. And it lives on the top shelf, so it is pretty close to the Plant Spectrum 32 light. So it gets fairly bright light just because I wanted it to really get established and get growing. Let's put her back. It's so hard not to pick up every plant and talk about it. Okay, so this is my Anthurium Goliath forgetti hybrid from Cartel Down, and this is one of my top Anthurium in my whole collection. I love it so much. I feel like this one is not really in its prime right now. I repotted it probably around a month ago, so it's getting established after its repot, but it's also been dealing with some cooler temperatures just because the bedroom tends to be a little bit more cold, because I truly just cannot sleep with the heat on. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm a warm sleeper, and this cabinet is right next to the bed, so I have to turn the heat off at night, and it gets a little bit chilly. So I think that perhaps some of these plants haven't been super happy. Actually, you know what? Most of them are fine, but any slow growth or like slow to kind of get going again after repots, I think is just because of the temperature and the time of year. It probably, like, these plants in here can probably tell it's winter, whereas in other parts of my home it maybe stays a little bit warmer. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that, but it's still looking stunning. Like, even though it's not as good as it normally looks, just in terms of it's not as dark as it normally is, like it's looking a little bit pale, but I'm sure that y'all can still appreciate. I just love the kind of forgetti shape and the minimal veins, how dark it is. I think it's so beautiful. We have another leaf over here, right there. Is this thirsty? No, it's not too bad. This leaf is one that's kind of on its way out. This also went through a horrible bout of underwatering in October, I want to say, when I had a really bad head cold. So yeah, it took a little bit of a hit because of that. In my experience, this has been a really forgiving Anthurium hybrid, so I'm very grateful for that. But I had to put this on my list because just the leaves it's been giving me this year have completely blown me away. This is definitely my favorite hybrid that I've ever gotten from Cartel Down. So yeah, if you ever come across it or something similar, I would say consider grabbing it because it's just, yeah, it's so, so beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna sit down while we talk about just the last few plants that I kind of just wanted to mention because of the blooms. So I have become such a bloom lover. I love flowering plants. That's partially why well, not even partially, that probably is why I have developed such a love for Hoya. I mean, when you think about it, many of my favorite plants are flowering plants. Hoya, Begonia, Pinguicula, they all have that in common. It just brings me so much joy to see flowers blooming in my house. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. So a few flowers that really stood out to me this year that were my favorite. First of all, my rat tail cactus right here bloomed for the first time for me. You can't really see the top strands, but it is fuller than just these two. So it bloomed for me for the first time this year, just one singular flower, but it was so special. I remember it happened like maybe late winter, beginning of spring, and it was just so vibrant and cheerful, and I loved it so, so much. So that was really cool to see, especially because it just lives here in my window, and you know, I live in the Pacific Northwest. The weather is often just what it is behind me, which is rainy and dark and gloomy. So to have this cactus flowering in my window was just so incredibly special. And yeah, I love that so much. I really hope that it flowers again this spring, but we'll see. Another non-Hoya that put on an amazing flower show this spring was my Thai pink lipstick plant, which used to live here. When it was hanging in the window is when it bloomed. It was covered in blooms. Like, it had lots of just beautiful pink blooms. That is hands down my favorite lipstick plant. It is just so, so pretty. Not only the blooms, but also the foliage. I love the shape of the leaves and how kind of like organized they are. I just really love the look of the plant in general. But this is the first year that it like fully bloomed for me. And it grows like a weed. It is a crazy plant. I posted the blooms as a reel on Instagram and it got so many views. It has like 1 million views or something, which is insane, but it just goes to show how stunning the flowers are. However, this plant is not hanging here currently because I ended up just taking cuttings of it. I think I missed a watering, or it was in a pot that was just drying out way too much, and then I missed a watering. I can't really remember. I just remember it dropping so many leaves, and it is a plant that kind of is annoying in the sense that it just drops leaves anyways. Like, if you move it or something, it will drop leaves, but it was like dropping leaves in an unwell kind of way, and it was just starting to look like scraggly. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start it over because it grows so incredibly fast anyways. So I currently have it growing in a wally grow planter in the bedroom because I wanted something that I didn't like about it growing in the window was that the leaves were all facing out, which is the downfall of windows. Obviously, it's such a great spot to grow plants, but the thing that sucks about them is that your plants inevitably want to face the light, so they don't want to face towards you. So that was really happening with this plant. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start it over. And then I had the idea to grow it in the wally grow planter because the lights are shining onto the wall and it's growing out like beautifully facing out. So I'm excited to keep growing it there. I hope that, I don't know if this spring it will flower for me because it's so small, but maybe next year I will have a fuller plant and flowers again. And then moving into a couple Hoya blooms that I was just obsessed with this year. My favorite, I tried to pick my 2 favorite bloomers of the year. The first one is my Hoya variegated. 2024 was the year that I discovered my well, that's not true. In 2023, I discovered what the potential of it could be, but it bloomed for me in the first time in 2024. And that's when I truly just became fully obsessed. And it's so funny, and I've said this before, but Hoya van is a Hoya that I've always just it's always just kind of come along with me. Like, I've moved it several times, like to several different houses with me, and it's always just kind of been in my collection, but I've never appreciated it fully until I realized what the blooms could look like. So then I really started taking care of it, and sure enough, I got a few blooms on it this summer, and they were just spectacular, pink and fuzzy, so cute. I was just, oh my goodness, I was so happy to have it bloom for me. So yeah, really, really exciting that I was able to get some flowers on it. That was when it was living on my windowsill, but I've currently also moved that to the Wally Grow wall, so it's getting a lot of light from the Soltech light. It's been growing like crazy in there, so I think it loves that spot, but I'm hoping that that really bright light is going to trigger it to bloom again. I would love to see more flowers on that, so maybe this summer I will have even more peduncles and more blooms. That would be incredible. But yeah, love that one. And then another one that kind of took me by surprise just with how much I love it. I mean, I got it for the blooms, so I knew that I was gonna like them, but I was just like, I really liked them. And that is the Hoya David Kamingii. I think that's what it's called. That one bloomed fairly soon after I got it, which really surprised me. And it smelled so good. It had like a caramel smell. It hangs in the living room, and every time I sat on the couch, I would get a whiff of those flowers, and it just smelled so good. And they were so cute. Again, they were just like these fuzzy pink blooms, and I definitely have a thing for pink blooms. In fact, I think all the flowers I've mentioned in this segment are pink. So if you have any recommendations for pink Hoya blooms, I already have the Alocasia that was at the top of my list. But yeah, I just love looking at Hoya bloom photos on Instagram. That's like one of my favorite things to look at. If I find someone with a page that just has really good photos of Hoya blooms, I immediately follow because I'm obsessed. But yeah, the David Kamingii really surprised me. I was like, well, what the heck? These are stunning, and just they smell so good, and they're so cute. Like, some Hoya flowers are just so cute, and they really had that factor. But they only flowered that one time, so I'm really hoping that this summer it will flower again because I just loved it so much. So we'll see. I'm really hoping to get a lot more flowers in 2025, and I'm thinking of doing one of those like Hoya flower wrap-up videos where I talk about all of my Hoyas that bloomed in the year, inspired by Kevin from Hakuna La Planta. He does videos like that. So if you're looking for any like Hoya inspo content or like Hoya bloom content, check out his channel. I'll link it down below. Yeah, I love those videos so much. So I was thinking, you know, I should do a compilation like that as well for this year or next year. Good morning, everybody. I'm currently editing right now, and I realized that I did not include probably the most exciting Hoya bloom out of the whole year. So I'm popping in here to shout out my Hoya Crimson Queen, who I've had for like 5 years and who finally bloomed for me for the first time in 2024. It was honestly a monumental moment in my plant journey. So I have no idea how that just completely slipped my mind. But yeah, it was stunning. Oh my gosh, my bookshelf is so out of control. Ignore that. It was absolutely stunning, breathtaking. I love carnosa type blooms, and just to have such a big plant that's been with me pretty much since the beginning of my plant journey bloom was really special. So yeah, Hoya Crimson Queen. I had to pop in to say that. Anyways, I think that brings me to the end. I feel like I've had a pretty good growing year. I mean, despite my ongoing battle with mealybugs, that's annoying, but whatever, it is what it is. Other than that, I'm super happy with everything and just so thankful to have all these plants. I love them all so much, and they truly do just bring me so much joy. It's definitely a lot of work to take care of these plants, but they give me so much back in return. Not me literally getting emotional over my houseplants, but I'm so serious. It really is therapeutic. So yeah, I'm so thankful for this hobby. I'm so thankful for you guys for watching my videos. And yeah, I'm just glad to be here and excited to enter into a new year. So that's gonna be it for this one. Again, a huge thank you to Brooklinen for sponsoring this video. definitely check out their bedding, especially if you're in the market for something new to freshen up your space. You can get 15% off your order with the link down below in the description box. Looking forward to chatting with you guys in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Try